Dirty work on a Thursday afternoon. Adam Copeland, Larry Krueger with you. Tim Webb hanging out as well. Dude, I heard you say it the other day, Larry. I think you said it on Tuesday. Maybe it was Monday. 55 days away. We're like 52 days away from real 49er football.
How about that?
The Vets
from
report,
week one.
Vets report on Tuesday. The rookies reported a couple of days ago on Tuesday. And now rookies are all signed up. Alfred Collins signed his contract yesterday. Here to talk about that. Among other things, 49ers, Eric Crocker. You hear him on the Locked On 49er podcast. Eric, what's going on, man? Welcome to the show. How are you?
Oh, man, I'm doing good. How are you guys? Hey, this is the first time I've been on KNBR, so I'm excited about that.
Hell yeah, man. I was going to say, it's definitely the first time on our show, so welcome, man. Good to have you, and hopefully we'll talk to you more throughout the Niner season. We get your buddy Brian Peacock on all the time. A little too much Peacock, not enough Crocker. That's what I always say.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's been some news for the Niners. What's sort of funny is we talked about it early in the offseason that, hey, what a pleasant surprise for the Niners after the last few off seasons where there was no real noise, right? They got the Brock Purdy contract done. Didn't appear to be any holdouts or nothing crazy. Then we wake up a week before training camp's supposed to start, and Jauan Jennings says, hey, man, I need a new deal or I need a new team. What was your reaction to that news coming down on Monday?
You know, my initial reaction was, one, it's warranted. If I were him, I would, be requesting the same thing, and I'll get into that in a second. But I'm assuming this is on the 49ers. I bet this is not the first time that Jauan Jennings went to the 49ers about contract demands or wanting to restructure the contract to some extent. And it probably got to a point where he said, all right, this isn't getting done, so now I'm going to try to force their hands, right? And it's happening right before training camp. So that's unfortunate for the 49ers. But if I am Jauan Jennings, I think he is well within his rights. This is a guy who has done everything that they've asked him to do, right? He's worked his way up from the bottom. He was a seventh-round pick, was cut, brought back on practice squad, had to work his way up. And he's done everything that the 49ers wanted him to be. I think he exemplifies what Kyle wants in his receivers, tough, physical guy, willing to do all the dirty work. And he hasn't had a ton of opportunities. So you go back a couple of years, this is a guy that caught, 19 passes, and he's not getting a bunch of targets? Yeah. Well, finally, guys go down. You need me to be more. And he almost, gets 1,000 yards. And if I'm him, I have to cash in on that type of after that season because I don't know if I'm going to get the same type of opportunities this upcoming year. You have Chris McCaffrey coming back. That's going to take some catches away. At some point, Brandon Ayuk coming back. That's going to take some opportunities away. Obviously, there's George Kittle. There's Ricky Pearsall now. If he's healthy for, an entire season, that's going to take opportunities away. So if I'm him, I don't think I'll be able to duplicate what I did last season. I got to cash in now, and I need to get paid and have some stability.
Croc, it's always good to talk to you, man. And I'm former NFL defensive back. Anytime we get a former player on the air, it's always a good thing. Okay, so Spot Track estimates that a new deal for Jennings could be like 2 years, $38 million. That might be a little too rich for my blood. I mean, if it comes down to, hey man, $19 million a year for the next 2 years, or trade him, I'm trading him. I know that's a tough opinion, but where are you? There's got to be a cutoff. Everybody lives within a budget. What should be the Niners' budget on JJ?
Man, I'm with you. If it came down to paying him $38 million or trading him away, I would definitely try to trade him. I couldn't fathom paying him that and being able to justify that with his production to this point. So if I'm him, I definitely, that's probably around the numbers that he's requesting, and that's why the 49ers are like, oh no, we can't pay you that. And they've gotten to this point that they're at now. The numbers like I would probably feel comfortable with, or what the 49ers potentially could do, maybe just throw a little bit more money on top of what he's getting right now. It's about $7 million or so. That's definitely low for the production that he was able to give the 49ers last season. Maybe bump it up to about $12 million, and that would be fully guaranteed. And I think if they did something like that, at least he'd be happy for the season, but it still won't give him that long-term security. And the bigger issue is if what I think will happen, his numbers drop because you have everybody coming back. Well, now what about when he is a free agent next year? What kind of contract will he be getting? So I think those are all like kind of tough things, and he's kind of in the pickle a little bit. Best case scenario for him, probably get traded, and I think go to a place where they're going to value him at what he did last season and pay him accordingly.
Eric Crocker, the voice you hear, nice enough to join us on the UMA guest line. I was asking Larry the other day, and I think we were talking to Matt Mayoka too, about what the value is on a trade for Jauan Jennings? Because as you pointed out, 2 years ago, 19 catches, 12 of them went for first downs, and he was almost, would have been the Super Bowl MVP likely had they won that game against the Chiefs. Had an incredible season last year, opportunistic, but best case scenario for Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch is that he's like your number 3 guy, right? That Brandon Ayuk gets healthy, and you pointed out Ricky Pearsall, a first-round pick. So I wonder on a trade, like Deebo Samuel netted a 5th-rounder, but it was a different situation in his decline and exit from here in a mutual split. When it comes to Jauan Jennings, where do you view the value on the trade market relative to that of the contract he would get? Like, is a 5th-rounder below market? I mean, the other thing is teams know if you're not willing to pay him, they can maybe throw whatever they want at you and see what you'll take.
I think it'd still be around a 4th or 5th round pick. The money situation is different, right? With Deebo Samuel, you're also taking on, a big, dollar amount per year.
Of course.
With Jauan Jennings, you get to create that, and even then, it still won't come close to what Deebo Samuel is getting. So I think from that standpoint, and a team not having to take on that kind of contract, you may be able to get him off for something like a 4th or 5th round pick. The tough thing for the 49ers in that situation is, well, all right, now you trade Jauan Jennings away, a guy that has been very consistent, at the very least, with being on the field and knowing what you're going to get from him. You take him away, you got an injured Brandon Ayuk coming back. You don't know exactly what he's going to be, throughout this season. Maybe he has to work his way back. You got Ricky Pearsall. Yes, he started playing better down the stretch, but what's that year or two going to look like? You're not quite sure. And then you're starting to rely on some of the younger guys, the Jacob Cowings and Watkins that you just drafted this year out of Ole Miss. And, we've seen 49ers rookie receivers not do the best or be the most productive. So then now trading Jauan Jennings, it hurts the 49ers a lot. So that's a tough situation as well, where 49ers may say, well, a 4th or 5th round pick, putting us in this type of situation where now we're short a receiver that gives us some stability. We can't do that. They may want to demand something higher, and I don't think they will get that.
We're talking to Eric Crocker on the Uma guest line, former New York Jet, and the better half of Locked On 49ers with some guy named Peacock and Eric Crocker. And a guy named Peacock. No, but seriously, though, the Niners redid the whole D-line. And we can talk about J.J. and the quarterbacks and the offense, and that all sells tickets. But this team's going or not going based on if this D-line's any good. What do you think of Alfred Collins? He just signed. 88% of the deal's guaranteed, which is surprising. But, that's thank you to the teams that set that precedent. But you got Collins. You got Mikael Williams. You got C.J. West, who I really love. And you got Nick Martin. Young guys all drafted in this front 7. Of those young guys, Croc, who you most excited about?
I really am excited about, a few of the guys you just named, Mikael Williams, C.J. West, Alfred Collins, and because they just have to come in and be what they were drafted to be. Like, come in and be run stoppers. The 49ers have struggled against the run in recent years. They went and got 3 guys that are going to make a big-time difference right now. Yeah, they'll be rookies, but, hey, we're not asking you to be these, 8, 9, 10 sack guys per year. You don't got to be that. You don't have to have a developed pass rush game, which hopefully over the years, they can develop that aspect of the game. But come in right now and just do what you did in college and be really good with stopping the run. So with that, I think, forcing teams to be a little bit more one-dimensional because you are so stout up front, I think that helps the 49ers defense tremendously. It's much more difficult to call a defense when you have to play so honest against a team and they have everything at their disposal. It kind of keeps you on your toes. And we saw that last season with the 49ers, a lot of inconsistency from the defense, a lot of ups and downs, a lot of untimely situational mistakes. Those are things that get cleaned up if you at least can say, you know what, we're really good versus the run. We got these 4 guys who can play coverage on the back end, not have to blitz, not have to do those things. I think that has set the 49ers defense up and actually make them look a little bit better than they did last year, even with those guys being rookies.
I was asking Larry this before the show today. I said, what's more crucial to the 49ers' success in 2025? Is it Christian McCaffrey or is it the defensive line?
Well, it's the defensive line. Now, Christian McCaffrey, he's awesome, and the 49ers clearly missed him big time in the red zone last season, more than anything. But, man, if you can be good on defense and just get stops and force teams into long yardage situations, man, that helps everybody, especially with the 49ers getting the edge rusher from the Philadelphia Eagles, right? Getting a guy like him to pair him with Nick Bosa, and you got Fred Warner still flying around. Now, hopefully, he's healthy for an entire season as opposed to playing on a bad ankle like he did all last season. It really helps to have that run-stopping front in there and then be able to build off that. So get stops, and I think even if you don't have Christian McCaffrey, I mean, we've seen the 49ers go to the Super Bowl with Raheem Mostert. We've seen the 49ers make playoff pushes with guys like that. But we haven't seen the 49ers make those big pushes without having a really good defensive line. And you got to rebuild that.
Eric Crocker with us on the Uma guest line. All right, the offense is going to be interesting because, as you mentioned, no Ayuk, no Debo, no Demarcus Robinson possibly for the first 3 weeks, maybe no Jauan Jennings. We don't know. But they do have some good running backs, and it makes me wonder if Shanahan's going to use McCaffrey kind of flexed out this year. The guy, Croc, that looks amazing, absolutely amazing in these practices is Isaac Guerendo. He's just so big and so fast and so explosive, and I just think that, yeah, it would be great to see McCaffrey come back to full tilt, but I don't know that I want to see him ever get the kind of workload that he's had. I'd like to see it be a combo, a CMC Guerendo combo. What do you think of Guerendo? What do you think he can do here in year 2?
I'm excited to see what he does in year 2. I wonder if he's a guy that they see more suitable to be like the change of pace back, the second back, regardless of who's at the starting running back. So whether it's Christian McCaffrey or maybe it's a rookie Jordan James out of Oregon, right? Regardless, we like Guerendo being the change of pace guy. That's what it kind of looked like. He has a little bit of Raheem Mostert to his game, but not quite Raheem Mostert. Raheem was very special, but I mean, how many teams and how many opportunities did it take for him to really catch on to be the Raheem Mostert that we grew to know?
7
during those, the Super Bowl push.
7 practice
Cut
squads.
by 7 teams and a bunch of So Guerendo, I feel like he kind of runs a little bit more like that, where it's kind of, I don't want to say boom or bust, but clearly he can be a home run threat, and we've seen that and seen him use his speed. On a consistent basis, can he get you 4 and 5 yards per carry outside of those big explosive runs he gets? I think Jordan James or somebody like that might be a little bit more suitable in that kind of role. So I really do like Guerendo. Obviously, this was a guy that went to college as a receiver and then moved over to the running back position. So he has really good ball skills and pass catching skills. I thought we were going to see a little bit more of that his rookie year. But as he continues to grow that aspect of his game, be a good, pass protector, I don't see why he, at the very least, can't always be the second guy up.
Hey, Eric, one last one before we let you go. I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you about some of the DBs. You were a DB, and you watched this position pretty closely. The Niners added 10 new DBs. I think 7 of them are corners. What do you think? I mean, I asked Saleh about it at the end of OTAs. I said, you got any dogs there? You got any real dudes? And he's like, you know what, I'll tell you in training camp, which is kind of deferred. Do you like any of these guys? The guy that I really like is Darrell Luter Jr., who was a 5th-round pick a couple years ago. He's long, he's rangy. They can't lose another good young corner like they have the last couple of years at the cutdown. What do you think of the defensive backfield? How concerned are you about the talent back there?
Yeah, it's a little tough. I think, especially depending on what happens at the nickel spot, right? Can Stout come in and, play nickel right away? One thing that typically happens going from college to the NFL, especially if you're not the tallest defensive back, they'll say, all right, you played corner your entire life, but we're going to move you into the nickel. That's going to be an easy transition for you. It's not. Like the nickel position, it's arguably the most difficult position to play on defense because, one, in man coverage, you play in so much space. Guys have two-way goes on you. Also against the run, you have to run fit. You're dang near like an extra linebacker in there, so you have to be physical, but you have to defend these quick and shifty receivers in the slot, or sometimes a big slot who may try to block you and whatnot, so you got to match his physicality. That's an extremely difficult position to play, as well as be aware of what the corner's doing, what the safety's doing, what the linebacker's doing. So who can take over that nickel spot? Or are the 49ers going to say, you know what, we want more of a veteran there, so we're going to go with Diamador Lenore in nickel situations. We're going to put him in the slot, right? So then now that opens up a spot outside. All right, what do you do there? And I would like to see what a guy like Darrell Luter does. There's some other guys, Brown and these guys that they brought in, some of these veterans, and we'll see what they do. But Luter is a guy I want to see get a real opportunity. Coming out of South Alabama, I mean, this was a guy that I thought his play style was kind of difficult to do, and he kind of made it look easy, being able to play catch technique, turn around with guys, be able to get in phase. He did that very well. He could play at the line of scrimmage. He talked about him having long arms, but he's been hurt. He's been banged up. He hasn't seen much action. And for a guy that a lot of people were excited about coming into his rookie year, nothing has materialized because he hasn't been able to stay on the field. So can he carve out a role for himself in this training camp? I think that's a big question mark. But if he can, that would be a huge win for the 49ers.
Eric Crocker, the voice you hear on the UMA guest line. You can hear him wherever you get your podcast, the Locked On 49er podcast with Eric Crocker and Brian Peacock. Hey, I know it was your first hit on KNBR. We got to do it again, man. It was great having you, and we'll talk to you throughout the season, Eric.
All right, thanks for having me, guys.
Appreciate you, man. Good stuff. Eric Crocker there. You missed any of that, all available. TheSportsLeader.com and the TheSportsLeader app. I believe Stockton's own.
He's good, man. He's really good.
Former DB, yeah.
Former DB of the New York Jets. And, just having that perspective of living as an NFL player, knowing what the NFL players go through. He's a real good follow on YouTube, and he does a nice job. He also does an incredible job on Locked On. So check him out, Eric Crocker.